Sendende
Cha assessing kita sa tako. Siguro ko sinaita ko dito ta.
ngapane sendende
Koko.
Sendende
Ko ta aga katalo ta and usepa a.
sendende
Ko be ko.
ngoko
Ko sama.
Hadzabe tribe hunters have made it again. After hunting for a long time, they have finally succeeded in finding a big bush pig. Hadzabe tribes are well known for the profound connection they have with their land, for their intimate knowledge of the natural world, and the delicate balance they have maintained for millennia with the environment. Until about 500 BCE, Tanzania was exclusively occupied by hunter-gatherers akin to the Hadza. The first agriculturalists to enter the region were Cushitic-speaking cattle herders from the Horn of Africa. Around 500 CE, the Bantu expansion reached Tanzania, bringing populations of farmers with iron tools and weapons. The last major ethnic group to enter the region were Nilotic pastoralists who migrated south from Sudan in the 18th century. Therefore, groups such as the Hadza and the Sendo are remnants of indigenous hunter-gatherer populations that were once much more widespread, and are under pressure from the continued expansion of agriculture into areas which they have traditionally occupied. In the late 19th century, European powers claimed much of the African continent as colonies, a period known as the Scramble for Africa. The Hadza became part of German East Africa, though at the time the colony was proclaimed there is no evidence that Hadzaland had ever been visited by Europeans. The earliest mention of the Hadza in a written account is in German explorer Oscar Baumann's Durch Messerland zu Nilkel, 1894. The Hadza hid from Baumann and other early explorers, and their descriptions are based on second-hand accounts. The first Europeans to report actually meeting the Hadza are Otto Dempwolf and Erich Obst. The latter lived with them for 8 weeks in 1911. German Tanganyika came under British control at the end of the First World War, 1917, and soon after the Hadza were written about by British colonial officer F. J. Bagshaw. The accounts of these early European visitors portray the Hadza at the beginning of the 20th century as living in much the same way as they do today. Early on, Obst noted a distinction between the pure Hadza, that is, those subsisting purely by hunting and gathering, and those that lived with the Isenzu and practiced some cultivation. The foraging Hadza exploited the same foods using many of the same techniques they do today, though game was more plentiful because farmers had not yet begun directly encroaching on their lands. Some early reports describe the Hadza as having chiefs or big men, but they were probably mistaken. More reliable accounts portray early 20th century Hadza as egalitarian, as they are today. They also lived in similarly sized camps, used the same tools, built houses in the same style, and had similar religious beliefs.
Labe tu kasa baga tu chogo chama asema ba chogo tena dengi be ba upu kafe usikata bena
Mwini mwenyewe kijia tu kukea bafu. Kongo na kwa banke la makiduka bena.
The British colonial government tried to make the Hadza settle down and adopt farming in 1927, the first of many government attempts to do so. The British tried again in 1939, as did the independent Tanzanian government in 1965 and 1990, and various foreign missionary groups since the 1960s. Despite numerous attempts, some forceful, all have largely failed. Generally, the Hadza willingly settle for a time while the provided food stocks last, then leave and resume their traditional hunter-gatherer life. When the provisions run out, few have adopted farming as a way of life. Disease is also a problem because their communities are sparse and isolated. Few Hadza are immune to common infectious diseases such as measles, which thrive in sedentary communities, and several settlement attempts ended with outbreaks of illness resulting in many deaths, particularly of children.
Yeah, asha matinga upakapa enawe.
Kabamia kwa tia.
Samana tia. Me kwa omana tungu
Kwa magwa sana.
Of the 4 villages built for the Hadzabe since 1965, 2, Idachini and Mangulai, are now inhabited by the Isenzu, Iraq and Tatoga. Another, Mongo Wamano, established in 1988, is sporadically occupied by Hadzabe groups who stay there for a few months at a time, either farming, foraging or to utilize the food given to them by missionaries. At the 4th village, in Demiga, also known as Mwanyam, the school is attended by Hadzabe children, but they account for just a third of the students there. Numerous attempts to convert the Hadzabe to Christianity have also been largely unsuccessful. Tanzanian farmers began moving into the Mangala area to grow onions in the 1940s, but came in small numbers until the 1960s. The first German plantation in Hadzabe was established in 1928, and later 3 European families settled in the area. Since the 1960s, the Hadzabe have been visited regularly by anthropologists, linguists, geneticists, and other researchers. In recent years, the Hadzabe's territory has seen increasing encroachment from neighboring peoples. The Western Hadzabe lands are now a private hunting reserve, and the Hadzabe are officially restricted to a reservation within the reserve and prohibited from hunting there. The Yida Valley, long uninhabited due to the tsetse fly, is now occupied by Datuga herders, who are clearing the Hadzabe lands on either side of the now fully settled valley for pasture for their goats and cattle. The Datuga hunt out the game, and their land clearing destroys the berries, tubers, and honey that the Hadzabe rely on, along with watering holes for their cattle, causing the shallow watering holes the Hadzabe rely on to dry up. Most Hadzabe are no longer able to sustain themselves in the bush without supplementary food such as ugali. After documentaries on the Hadzabe on PBS and the BBC in 2001, the Mangola Hadzabe have become a tourist attraction. Although on the surface this may appear to help the Hadzabe, much of the money from tourism is allocated by government offices and tourism companies rather than going to the Hadzabe. Money given directly to Hadzabe also contributes to alcoholism, and deaths from alcohol poisoning have recently become a severe problem, further contributing to the loss of cultural knowledge.
Mbabe, ama nakateka iko kwako manataka iko. Babi kondi ya chako toko ikakho agwa kana kwa.
Tetsa atona kabisa. Ine.
Mbabe kwata, itshaka naka tiyamu.
Tako mabanga.
Abe na azalani ama kwako sekana pipi kondela bi. Mbabe honi ochamu. Amba akamo amba akwamo. Okwamo kamba abo ya kwete iya aba miche. Honi ochama man.
Vota bank.
Vota bank memo kwa amo.
Vota bank. Chacha. Kelele tu akisikia kwa
Na kwa ishe bami. Ala bami tako toka haraka atakuachia haraka. Bami ishe ya mua. Toka haraka anakuachia ina akoshe kai ani itako iko alami kwamba ama emedaku ya takaka. Do chibibi atenena kaono haya haya ndo zanena tena haya ndo ngiche na tena wata palepe yope
akili kwa kazi kuswahili sema kama waje chitasema
sema
la misa ikaeti kochi
tume
ama kosa palepe
wata kuda kwati Kwa pe cheze se china.
Mami anachukua.
Pole mo kwa pe kiki.
Alaga.
Cheta maua. Kwani yako alimguswa na baba. Ako aka yeye machelewa.
Aba aje amana. Hina kene na apola altini. Aba kwa apola aman ako amata tao. Kwako kama ni kama ita ekeke sasa.
Mami bwana ngo. Kwa sambe
mama watu. Haka to amata chichi ditalan ekeke sasa.
ana tenge kongai dua.
Kapuni pia hivi. Ekiki kaponi hivi.
Alafu hako hivi. Wamemtupa. Wamemtupa.
Paka kana. Ati gama kwa pakaya bena pakaya asenena kwa
Pizza.
Kita asenena.
Lakini baya hako tena anangata na baba.
Amna sasa. Ama sehemu kaka lakini itabaki yawe wewe.
Ndio maana akashindwa na
Lahina.
Katana mama na ikana mama nama kaba miki.
Alikini ama tengi una na kwa. Wewe amna uyako. Ikachagua kana hapa.
Sasa inakuja kutenga serikali.
Ama serikali.
Ona ake gorofani. Sina, uchabe wachi ni. Alafu wachi serikali baba.
Sasa tate kwete. Ndemia.
Akina ro. Ina mokoroma.
Serikali gani?
Kwani we.
Kaya sasa ana serikali.
Kwani hapa nasema mitano.
Baba kwa soda.
Kwa isa baba mia. Isa talaka ishina. Talaka ni. Akina mokoroma.
Itatuma. Tuma ama peta italako. Kuno kwa kisa tako. Kwa ikata kwa tete ala chini yako upe. Kwa ta duwe. Hoyo. Eteke.
Ema tako ase mwana titi. Ma.
Na pili kwa titi ni. Ota. Kala kwanza na wai kona mta. Hoyo. Wako uamana kutokitoko. Ina ku ukelele. Sio bena. Kotu ya bena ina maana akwate. Ame peli kwa bebe ebena tate.
Sanya wote.
Bela peli pe atene. Ina maana tengi maana amana.
Sanya kakala.
Kana beta be.
Sanya yako saa.
Umepigwa hivi.
Wala wewe hapa.
Amana hapa maana
Kutepedu ana. Baba yake zile yeto.
Ako yefa mwaye onu. Ishako.
Ikipangwa ya kupangua. Pangua bebe na siungue sana. Pangua kabisa uvuvu.
Aye.
Kutapedu kama chama unaona
Ishinao.
Ndio na
Yo tande unatakiwa kaya hivyo kwa kwanza.
Andela huko kuchwa
Baada ya hapo mimi boko ya.
Nado dekhe akando yako.
Ya mai shi ta ku ta tsaya a kana sa.